Welcome to the GetRealWealth.com radio show, where wealth means a lot more than just building a second stream of income. Listen and learn how 70% of the millionaires in America used real estate to create a lifestyle that most people only dream about. A lifestyle that includes good health, family, romance, travel, charity, and all the other parts of a balanced life. Now, here is your host, real estate investor and mentor, Steve Davis.
Good afternoon and welcome to the show. I'm your host, Steve Davis, where as always we're talking about using real estate to lead a higher quality of lifestyle, to enjoy life more, to enjoy our families more, and get out of that dependent stage of life where you're dependent on a job solely for your income. Now, most people do keep their job and they have their second stream of income. But there's some of you who really don't like your job. You're unhappy in it. It's a way to be able to quit your job if you want to do that. But I will warn you, doing nothing is not as much fun as they portray it to be. The concept of the retirement, and they show you the somebody under the palm tree sipping Mai Tais, and as if you want to do that for the rest of your life. Oh, that's all I want to do is relax and sip Mai Tai. I've yet to find one person that wants to do that. And I've been at this for 30 years. So it's more about finding a job you love, finding a mission you're passionate about, and spending your time there. And then your second stream of income should be semi-passive or passive, meaning it comes in whether you work or not. When you have those two streams of income, your quality of lifestyle goes up so much that I can't even get it across to people. When even in one-on-one consultations, it's not until they achieve it that they come back to me and they say, "Oh my God, I now know what you mean. There's peace. There's freedom, and that allows you to be more joyful, happier." It's amazing, and that's what we talk about. Today we're going to talk about using single family to generate that passive income. This is the slower path compared to doing apartments, and me being a time-sensitive person, I always promote apartments as the best way to do it, because it might take you 6 months to a year to buy your first apartment, but that apartment could retire you. Whereas you could do a single family deal your second month, but then you got to do 30 of them, or whatever number you're looking for. So, and that's going to take obviously way longer than a year. So multifamily apartment complexes are faster. They actually throw off a higher rate of return if you're doing value plays. But there's a tremendous amount of wealth built into every single family home. And that's why this morning I talked about the average person with the average deal is going to make 100% rate of return the first year that they own a single family house. And I want you to compare that to what you're getting in your mutual funds, in your stocks, gold, silver, whatever, wherever you're speculating. Are you getting 100% rate of return? No. The stock market over the last 75 years has averaged 7%. We're literally averaging 100% the first year. I'm going to show you a deal with over 300% rate of return the first year. But remember, this is a home run. See, you've got singles, doubles, triples, and home runs. I'm going to show you a home run deal. But while I'm doing it, I will also touch on a single and really it'd be a double. But there's still 100% rate of return. It's insane. When you do a couple of these, you'll look back at your life and go, what in the world was I doing in the stock market? What was I doing? Well, I'll tell you what you were doing. Nothing. You just pick a stock, You know, some of you are going to say, well, I worked hard. I studied the CEO and I studied the business model and I picked this stock and it worked. You still got lucky, because there's other people out there with the same business model, just as good a CEO, that fail. I think it's very telling where they took a chart of the stocks, let a chimp, I think it was chimps, pick out the stocks, and they beat the average financial planner's results. A chimp. The reason that works is because it's just a guessing game. You think you're doing something by doing research on the company, but you're really not. It's still just lazy. I don't want to do anything. I don't want to own a business. I don't want to own real estate. I just want to go to work and throw my money at the stock market. That's why you get a 7% rate of return and we get 100%. So let's look at your average single family home. We're going to use one with about a $200,000 after repaired value, $200,000 home. And we're able to purchase this for $115,000 because it's got massive deferred maintenance. In this case, the average person would spend about $40,000 to rehab this house. Now, because of Real Wealth Academy, I've got contractors that are going to do it for $15,000 less than somebody on the outside. So then there's about $10,000 in closing costs. So my all-in price is $150,000. That's about 75% of the ARV. Now, that would be a zero down deal. The problem is it's impossible to do an analysis of a zero down deal. Why? Because if you make $1, what rate of return is that? Infinite. Infinite, because you have zero in it. So let's pretend that we put $20,000 down and look at the way this thing makes you money. The first way, and this is the way that you start building your passive income or your semi-passive income, is through a thing called cash flow. In this particular case, this property's going to lease for about $1,750. You're going to have a principal, interest, taxes, and insurance payment of around $1,100. You're going to have maintenance and vacancy around $300, and that's high. So you're going to net about $350 a month, or $4,200 per year. Now remember, we put $20,000 down on this deal, so $4,200 divided by the $20,000 we have in it gives you your cash on cash rate of return. That's a 21% cash on cash rate of return, 3 times as high as the stock market. Right there. And we've only talked about one of the 4 ways that we're going to discuss that real estate makes you money. When we come back from the break, I'll show you how we got a 250% rate of return on this deal. This is the GetRealWealth.com radio show. I'm your host, Steve Davis. Thanks for listening. This is AM 700 KSEV, the voice of Texas. Real estate accounts for more millionaires in America than any other investment vehicle. This second stream of income can truly change your life. More time for travel and romance, more time for family and fitness, more time for whatever you want to do with your life. To find out how to build this second stream of income, attend our free 2-hour introductory workshop on real estate investing. To reserve a seat, visit GetRealWealth.com and click on the free workshop button at the top of the page. That's GetRealWealth.com. Thank you. Welcome back to the GetRealWealth.com radio show. I'm your host, Steve Davis. Feel free to email me if you've got a question about anything I'm discussing or really anything to do with real estate investing. Don't worry about the subject I'm discussing. Feel like you got a dumb question? Put anonymous, and I won't use your name. But send me your emails at asksteve@getrealwealth.com. Asksteve@getrealwealth.com. See, The next way that we're going to discuss that you make money off of a single family deal is a thing called equity pickup or equity capture. What it is, it's the difference between your all-in price and what the property's worth. In this case, our all-in price is $150,000. It's worth $200,000. That's an equity pickup of $50,000. Your net worth goes up $50,000 the day you close this deal. If this had been a single or a double, you might have only picked up $20,000 or $30,000. But let's look at the math on this one. If you've got $20,000 in the deal and you pick up $50,000 equity, that is a 250% rate of return. So I want you thinking about this deeply. What would it mean to your family if you got up, took action, and instead of just lazily throwing your money in the stock market or mutual funds, you said, I'm going to take some action and I'm going to go buy some rental property, and you started getting your family a 250% rate of return? What would that mean? I promise you, it will change your life forever. It will. It's an incredible event. Now, I want to hack away at something. The 401k, as the average person uses it, which is in their company, people will say, oh, okay, you make 100% rate of return. Well, so do I. I put money in my 401k up to, say, 6% of my earned income, and they match it. That's a 100% rate of return, Steve. What did I just show you? A 250% rate of return. And is there any 6% limit to it? There's not. There's no limit to the number of times you and your family can do this. You could do it 100 times in 1 year. So the 401k match doesn't impress me. The 100% rate of return doesn't impress me. I know how to do that, and I keep control of my money. That's my 250% rate of return. It doesn't go back to the stinking 401k. The next way that real estate makes you money is a thing called principal paydown. Every month, your renter pays their rent. Then you pay your mortgage. Part of that mortgage is principal paydown. It's not going to be a lot the first few years, maybe $1,800 a year, but that's still, when you divide it by $20,000, that's still a 9% rate of return. The worst reason to buy real estate still beats the stock market. It's amazing. And that's the worst reason to invest in real estate. Second worst reason, you're not going to believe this when I say it, it's appreciation. Excuse me. Speculators think appreciation's important. That's where you build your wealth. Cash flow is more important than that. Equity capture is more important than that. See, annually, real estate has doubled in value almost every 20 years since 1776. So that's about 3% annually. Your stockbroker or your financial planner would say, yeah, don't invest in real estate. It only goes up in value about 3% a year. That would imply that's a 3% rate of return. But it's not. Did you pay cash for this house? No. You only have $20,000 in it. 3% on a $200,000 house is $6,000 a year in appreciation. Divided by the $20,000 you have in it, that's not a 3% rate of return. That's a 30% rate of return for you and your family. What would it mean to you and your family? 30% rate of return every year. It's insane. It's life changing. When you add all of these together, that's where I came up with the 300% rate of return. It's actually a 310% rate of return the first year that you own this property. Now remember, do you get equity capture the second year? No. So your rate of return starting the second year is going to drop, you ready for this? All the way down to 60%. Oh my gosh, these numbers are crazy. 60% rate of return every year that you own that property. It's, again, life-changing. This is why people can literally goof up everything that I teach. They join my group, they buy 10 houses, and they lose sight of their goal. They quit adding to the portfolio. They just stagnate for 30 years. In 30 years, if they bought 10 houses at 200, that'd be $2 million worth of real estate. In 30 years, it's going to be 1.5 times as much. So that means it's now worth $500,000. And I'm actually being conservative. Some of you who know how to do that math know it's going to be more than that. But it's, let's say it's worth $500,000 at the end of 30 years. $500,000 times 10 houses that are paid off means you have $5 million worth of real estate paid in full. What's the cash flow going to be off of 10 houses? It's probably going to be $10,000 or $12,000 a month. And you have $5 million real estate. That's if you totally goof the system up. Don't get aggressive. Just go out and buy 10 houses and quit. What's your mutual fund going to do for you? What are your stocks going to do for you? What is any other investment in your life going to do for you that even vaguely compares to that? There's nothing. This is why real estate accounts for 90% of the millionaires worldwide. So if you've got a question about these are 4 of the ways that it makes you money. It makes you money other ways too, partly because of the tax advantage associated with owning real estate. Remember that real estate investors pay some of the lowest taxes of any for-profit group. It's arguably the lowest taxes of any for-profit group in the United States because of depreciation and a little thing called the 1031 exchange. So if you've got a question about this, give me a buzz, 281-558-KSEV. That's 281-558-5738, or email me at asksteve@getrealwealth.com. asksteve@getrealwealth.com. And by the way, if you want to study this more, the Real Estate Guys radio show also has a blog, and their blog explains this in detail. And those guys are, let me make sure I've got that right. These are great guys. I know both of them actually. But they have a little radio show. I shouldn't say little, it's big time. And they have a great blog. It's just additional education for yourself as you're studying all of this. The Real Estate Guys. So check that out. I'll look it up during the break, and I'll bring it up again in the next segment. I just don't want to break for it now. Okay, let's see if we got any emails. I think we do. Okay, the first question, we've got Ed. Thank you for the email, Ed. Question 1, do you recommend having rent houses under an LLC? Is the protection worth the expense? The answer is no. On single family, we leave them all in our personal name, and it goes on I think it's called a Schedule C on your regular 1040 tax return. Very easy to do, very clean. And you've got 3 layers of protection. The first layer is your management style. It means take care of the property. Make sure there's no hazards at the property. This is taken care of when you purchase the property and completely rehab it. The second layer of protection is your insurance. This would be a $300,000 liability policy on the house, and then a $1 million umbrella policy over all of your houses. Does that make sense? If it doesn't, make sure you email me. So there's two policies. Your regular fire and EC that includes $300,000 liability, and then you have an umbrella policy for $1 million. That's all the protection you need. Run your property correctly so there's no reason to sue you. That prevents more lawsuits than anything and protects you more than anything. The second layer is your insurance. Then the third layer would be an LLC, but we only use those on apartment complexes. When we come back, we'll get to Ed's other question. He had a second question. Phone lines are open at 281-558-5738 or email me at asksteve@getrealwealth.com. Justin in Conroe, I see you on hold. If you'll please remain on hold through the break, I'll get to you the second we come back here on the GetRealWealth.com radio show. Thanks for listening. Are you tired of losing money in every down market? Did you know that real estate makes money in both the up and down markets? In fact, we make more money in the down market. Hi, this is Steve Davis, host of the GetRealWealth.com radio show. Yes, we are praying for a down market, and you should know why. To find out why, attend our free 2-hour introductory workshop. To reserve a seat, visit GetRealWealth.com and click on the free workshop button at the top of the page. That's GetRealWealth.com. Thank you. Welcome back to the GetRealWealth.com radio show. I'm your host, Steve Davis. If you've got a question for me, you may email me now at asksteve@getrealwealth.com, asksteve@getrealwealth.com. You may also call me at 281-558-5738. Let's go straight to Conroe and talk to Justin before we get back to Ed's email. Justin, thanks a lot for calling in. How are you today?
Very well. How are you?
Excellent. How can I help?
I have a kind of maybe a unique situation, but back in 2008, I left the house. I left the property that I lived in, and just recently they did the foreclosure on it. Last year, I did purchase 2 rental properties.
Okay.
I did pretty well on them, but and luckily I did my refinance and got 30-year notes on them. But
excellent.
But this past year, it kind of put a wrench in my plan, and I'm just trying to figure out if there's a way around it, so I don't have to wait that 7 years.
Yeah, the only way that I know that is the simplest is to pull in a partner that's not got a foreclosure and continue buying as a partner. Now that's going to cost you something, which would be a percentage of the ownership or a percentage of the cash flow or something like that. But a partnership would be it's the way that I got past my bad credit situation, 27 years ago. So the other thing to look at is owner finance deals where they don't run a credit and criminal check, or look at passive investing in apartments where, your credit doesn't matter. Do you have a number as far as investable capital that you're working with?
I had planned, I thought about that as far as working with a partner, and that was my shift, and I'm thinking about doing that actually.
Okay.
In the Northeast with a family member of mine.
Okay.
But working capital, probably within next year, maybe close to $100,000.
Wow, that's good money. Because you can buy 5 or more houses with that, using hard money loan. It sounded like you used a hard money loan on these 2. Is that right?
Correct. Yep.
Yeah, so that's 4 or 5, and if you're lucky, you might even get 6 houses out of that 100. But you also, if you lump sum, if that money comes to you all at once, I would definitely look at investing in apartments, Justin. That's a lot of money to be throwing at single family, and it's so slow by comparison.
Okay. Now the partner the partner I'm going to be working with is my brother, and he's just kind of getting his, stuff together. I'm kind of coaching him on building his credit and everything. But
okay.
I'm not sure, how. I'm kind of leaning on him how much he can get approved for as far as that. So I might have to start off. I was thinking small with him to kind of.
I hate to say this, Justin, he doesn't sound like the right partner. You need a partner that has high income and good credit. Otherwise, you and your brother can still do things together, but I would have two partnerships. Find somebody with a lot of money and good credit who doesn't want to do any work, and there's a lot of people like that. Are you a member of another real estate investor group?
No, I've been, for the past couple of years, I've just been studying this, and then I finally pulled the trigger last year.
All right. I would definitely, sorry for the sales pitch, but I would definitely join a real estate investor group where you can find people like that. There's people that join my group just like that all the time. They're coming specifically to find people like you.
Okay.
Any other questions?
I think that's it.
Well, congratulations on your first two deals. It sounds like you're really focused on the long term because of the things you said about wanting to accumulate more. So it sounds like you're doing everything right mentally, but I would throw your hat into a real estate, if not ours, somebody's, and find some partners that do have money, that do make a lot of money, that do have good credit, and then do something small with your brother to help train him. I've got one warning, though. The highest failure rate of partnerships? Family. So be very cautious going into a family partnership. Make sure that the two of you sit down in front of an attorney and you line out what each person is responsible for, and don't let any two people be responsible for the same thing. In other words, you're responsible for 1 through 10, he's responsible for 11 through 20, and no overlap. Because if two people are responsible for something, guess what's going to happen? Nothing.
Yeah.
Line it out, get it in writing, and then move forward, Justin.
Got it.
All right, you take care.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. You're welcome. Bye-bye. Okay, let's get over to Ed's email. By the way, the phone lines are open. It is 281-558-5738, 281-558-5738. This is an interesting question because I know some investors are just going to flip. I actually like backyard play equipment. It helps me lease my unit very quickly. I didn't have many of them, maybe 2 or 3, but I always maintained them. And here's the question. I've just rented my previous home with a kid's play set in the backyard that is not in very good shape. I was going to demo it, but the new tenant's kiddo loves it. Can I add an addendum to the lease stating I have no liability or something similar? You could do that, but I would consult an attorney to make sure that that is going to protect you. I don't think it will. In other words, you can't do something dangerous and say, here, sign this. I did it and it's dangerous and you're going to let me out of responsibility. You've got this idea of selling the backyard equipment to them and document it. I think if it were me, I would either tear it down because it's just not safe, or I would repair it. I would probably repair it unless it's just not repairable. In other words, you got to replace the whole thing, something like that. But if you can repair it to make it safe, leave it in there. Just make sure, and you should have that disclaimer either way on the liability, if that makes sense. You should get them to sign a waiver for that either way. Again, I don't know how strong that is. You'll want to consult an attorney, But if it were me, I would definitely repair it if it's repairable. If it's not repairable, I'm not going to put a whole new one in. I'd get rid of it. Okay, let's go to the phone lines now and go to Spring, Texas. Phone lines are open at 281-558-KSEV. That's 281-558-5738. And John, thanks a lot for calling in. How are you today?
Doing well, thank you, sir. I've got a question.
Go ahead.
So with today's economic environment, even though the markets may go up and down and all that, the economy is a different issue altogether. Thinking that with everything that's going on, is there going to be a recession later this year? And if so, is that going to cause stress to some multifamily homes that might need to get out of their deal that would allow someone else, i.e. me, to get into a better deal at a lower cost?
I love the way you asked that question. That's funny. The answer is absolutely. I think that every mom and pop who doesn't know what they're doing, they haven't taken the National Apartment Association courses, they haven't taken local courses on investing and owning apartments, they kind of arrogantly went out there, they're trial and erroring it. Well, this is what happens with trial and error. COVID destroys you. And they're going to need to liquidate those properties because they're going to be burnt out. They're going to blame real estate. They're going to blame COVID. They're going to blame this, that, and the other when it's really them. But that's okay, John. You just happily walk in, make them an offer, and buy it from them at a discounted price. So absolutely, John.
Okay, appreciate it.
You're welcome.
We'll
and
call
good luck.
and talk again.
All right, I look forward to it. You take care.
All right, take care. Bye.
Bye-bye. Yeah, that sounds like he'll be a good friend of the show. I love people who call me multiple times. I love anybody that calls me, but I especially love the people that call me multiple times because you end up with a chain of conversation that leads deeper and deeper and deeper, and then the other listeners learn multiple layers. Whereas the show itself is designed to really show you a bird's eye view of real estate investing. But questions force me to drill down and give me the opportunity to drill down in more detail where it's actually understandable. So please keep those questions coming. Got one more question coming in from a good friend and a friend of the show, Rolf. He says, I own a property with a family member, 50-50. I have 6 figures in debt equity. They do not want to cash out, refi to purchase more. How do I get my equity out? They cannot buy me out. They do not believe in loans. Oh, Lord. Oh, my gosh, I just realized he said, I apologize, Anonymous. I didn't mean to mention your name. I didn't see that at the bottom. We'll talk about this when we come back from the break here on the GetRealWealth.com radio show. I'm your host, Steve Davis. Thanks for listening. Do you dream of a better life for you and your family? Do you want more time with your family? Would you like to travel more? Would you like to be less dependent on a job for your income? The solution is simple. Build a second stream of income. We can show you how. We are offering a free 2-hour introductory workshop on how to use real estate to build a second stream of income for you and your family. To reserve a seat, visit GetRealWealth.com and click on the free workshop button at the top of the page. That's GetRealWealth.com. Thank you. Welcome back to the GetRealWealth.com radio show. I'm your host, Steve Davis. We are in the final segment of today's show, so if you've got a question for me, you need to call me right now, please, so that I have time to answer the question effectively. It's 281-558-5738, 281-558-KSEV, or email me at asksteve@getrealwealth.com. Please put anonymous in the subject line or at the very beginning of the email so I don't goof up. In answer to this question, to me, it's simply refinance and give them their half, if that works. But based on this, I think you would have said that if that would have worked. I do not know how to get equity. See, this is the problem with family member partnerships. If you're not both on the same exact page, stuff like this happens. When you do partnerships, you've got to line out what the two of you or 6 of you or 30 of you agree to do at each stage, all the way from purchase to refinance to sale, disposing of the asset. That needs to be agreed to up front so that something like this doesn't happen. Now, this sounds like an inheritance, so you didn't have no choice. But that if it were me, I would go refinance the house on my own, take whatever money that they wanted and pay them to get them out. That's the only thing I can think of. And again, I wish I could be more help on this, but I'll need more information. So I'm going to email you to get more information. And really, actually, you should just call me. I'll send you my phone number and we'll talk about it and see if we can't figure something out. Okay, phone lines are open, 281-558-5738, 281-558-KSEV, or email me at asksteve@getrealwealth.com. asksteve@getrealwealth.com. Okay, next question. Oh, it's the umbrella policy question again. The umbrella policy is a $1 million or $2 million liability policy. You only need about $1 million on single family. That covers all your rent houses. So you may have, like, I had 20, I think it was $500 a year or $700 a year. And that's an additional $1 million. So if you've got $300,000 liability insurance on your house and they sue you for $310,000, then the umbrella policy takes over and you're out of pocket nothing. So make sure that you have at least $300,000. I keep $500,000 liability on with the swimming pool and $300,000 on a regular house that does not have a swimming pool, and then that $1 million liability policy above it. Then it goes on to ask, why don't you believe in LLCs? It's not that I don't believe in LLCs. It's just, as a rule, you can't put your property into the LLC without triggering the due on sale clause. What some people who are really risk adverse, they're scared to death. And if you're scared to death, go ahead and use an LLC if that makes you feel better. They will form a management company in an LLC. And the management company will run the houses and handle the leases and be responsible. But again, you're still going to have the insurance policies. Remember, people don't want your house. They want cash. And the nice thing is, guess what the insurance company delivers? Cash. See, these attorneys, and I love attorneys, and I love CPAs, and I love everybody's an important part of the team. But there are some attorneys who go out and they scare people into buying LLCs that really don't need them. And what they'll do is, out of every 1,000 rent houses, somebody falls down and breaks their hip, and they tell you that horror story. And then the guy's insurance didn't pay, and this and that, and it had lapsed or whatever, and they act like if he had an LLC, it would have made everything better. But if you understand that the number one liability protection is not the LLC or corporation, it's not your insurance, it's your management style. Make sure the day you buy the property, you fix anything and everything right up front. You got a sidewalk that's a foot higher than the rest of the sidewalks, you got to fix it right then before somebody trips over it and sues you. So remember, if you get sued, it's generally because you did something. You know, that's another thing that attorneys do that bug me, is they'll talk about people being sued for stupid reasons. Well, I've been at this for 30 years. I've never seen a stupid reason. Every time it's been something the owner did dumb. And boom, they got sued. The only exception to that is I got sued. One of my apartments got sued because a guy jumped the fence, jumped another fence, jumped in the swimming pool, and drowned. We got sued for that. Guess what? The insurance took care of all of it. I didn't even have to go to court. Crazy. But in every other case, it's been obviously the owner's responsibility. And then the insurance paid for it. So, number one defense, your management style. Take care of the property. Care about your tenants. And second layer is both insurance policies. And then the third layer would be have a management company, LLC. But that can get expensive. I don't do it, never have done it. I don't think it's worth it. But if you're scared to death, do it. In other words, what I'm saying is don't hide behind that and go, well, I'm not going to invest because I can't use an LLC. Yes, you can. I just wouldn't do it. So I hope this is all making sense. I feel like I'm rambling. But let's move on to the next question. The next question is writing a lease extension. We need guidance on how you write a lease extension for a single-family home. We live in Atlanta, but the property's in Texas. We don't want to hire a realtor and pay a fee. That I understand. Don't use a lease extension form, Depty. I hope I'm saying your name right. Deepty, sorry. Just sign a new lease. Don't use extensions. Just sign a totally new lease. That's the easiest, safest thing to do. A little bit more work. I think a lease extension's only 2 or 3 pages. You know, your lease can be 16 or pages or so. Doesn't matter. Use a new lease. That way, the lease extensions I don't like or use. Okay. Phone lines are open. Just a couple more minutes. 281-558-5738. 281-558-5738. Next is Daryl. What are you going to cover in the webinar Thursday and Saturday? Should I attend both? No. Both of them are the same. You know, I sometimes use different case studies, but they're both the same. You only need to see one of them. And basically what I do is I go over the 8 reasons that we chose real estate above all other investment vehicles. I go over how single family makes you money. I go over how small apartment complexes make you money. Then I go over 13 pillars of happiness and success. I call it, well, I don't call it, it's been called this a million times. People call it the millionaire mindset or the millionaire mentality. You've got to change the way you think before you can be an effective real estate investor. So I spend a little bit of time on that as well. And then I show you how our mentoring package works, and it takes about an hour and a half. Anyone that would like to attend that, go to getrealwealth.com, and in the upper right hand corner, click free workshop. And again, you only need to see one of them. They're the same. All right, next email question. Thank you, Daryl, by the way. Next email question is self-managed properties from Gerald. Yeah, okay, I will email you the rest of the answer, But yes, Gerald, I prefer, if you're under 20 single-family houses, manage them yourself. All right, this has been the GetRealWealth.com radio show. I'm your host, Steve Davis. Thank you so much for listening. You have a great rest of your day.
This has been the GetRealWealth.com radio show. Please remember that this show is for entertainment purposes only and should not be construed as legal, tax, or investing advice. Always get a professional opinion before making any investment decision. To find out about the mentoring and consulting at Real Wealth Academy, visit GetRealWealth.com and attend one of our free introductory workshops on real estate investing. That's GetRealWealth.com. Thanks for listening and have a great rest of your day.